Alright everyone, so today we're going to be building a cool feature, and this time it's not inspired by Webflow, surprisingly, but inspired by the Awards website. And if you don't know what the Awards website is, are you even a web designer? Just asking. So we are going to be building an awards inspired navigation. I don't know, for some reason I was really inspired by this navigation bar, and I said, let me try to build it in Elementor. So why not? I think you can use it in a lot of projects. It's pretty versatile, so let's get into it. Alright, so first thing we are going to be doing is we are going to be starting our project from the dashboard, obviously. So we are going to go to templates, go to theme builder, and this is where we can create our header. So I'm going to click header, and I already have two headers, and I'm going to create a new one for you all. And let's close this, we don't need this. And you can name this header however you want. Let's just call it words. I'm just gonna write it like normal words, word is written, and say nav. All right, so I'm gonna publish it and save and close. For now, we're not going to be adding the conditions. We're gonna do that later, or I will explain you how to do that if you don't know. All right, so let's start with a container. So I'm going to select our structure, and I'm going to set this container to full width. And I'm not going to set it with percentage, but pixels, because we want this navigation to stay in place when it changes size. I'm going to leave it to pixels. And I tested, and the size of 686 is the perfect size. But that depends also on your use case. If you have more menu items, then probably you will need to make it longer horizontally, obviously bigger in that sense, and or smaller, depending on how many menu items you have. So I will leave mine this size, but you should experiment with your own use case menu. So I'm going to also set the minimum height to VH, obviously, to 8.5. Again, these numbers that I'm inputting here are the numbers that I have already tested on my own NAVBAR, and this work. But you will have to adjust them, maybe a little bit here and there. So just keep an open mind about that. I'm going to justify my content center and align item center. Everything will be in the center of this container. And the direction of the container is going to be horizontal. Now let's move to styling this container so we can see it better. So I'm going to give this a background. So annoying when this happens. Anyway, you all have to probably have your navigation on the side so you can access the elements much easier. Okay, so let's go to style, let's go to background, and I'm going to choose, I have already a color set, and this is the color that I'm using. I will have all these colors in Notion if you want to use the exact colors, because they somehow match the colors of the navigation of the awards website specifically. So, but otherwise you can obviously use whatever colors you want. And I am also going to set the border of this container to be a border radius of 10 pixels. And as you can see, it's a little bit rounded and it's very nice. Now let's move to the advanced, and this is where the magic happens. So what we have to do for this navigation bar to be at the bottom is basically position it fixed. And as you can see right now, it's a bit weird, but we will fix it. So we are going to set, as you can see, our vertical orientation is at the top. So we are going to set it at the bottom, and it's at the bottom now, right? So I am also going to set the horizontal offset to 33%, and this is more or less in the center. As you can see, it's in the center, and we will have to adjust it on the tablet and mobile, obviously, but for now let's just continue with our desktop version. And I'm also going to set the offset vertical because we want to have some space between the bottom and the navigation bar, so we want a little bit of space. And I'm gonna set this to 50 pixels, 50 or 30. Let's see, 30, how it looks. 30. I think 30 is fine as well. We could leave it 30, but I will leave it at 50 right now because I think it's visually it's better. You can see better, I guess. And I'm also going to set the Z index to 9,999, and that means that our navigation bar is going to be on top of everything on the page. So no matter what you have on the page, unless you have an element that has a Z index of 9,999, the navigation will be on top of everything. And that's what we want, because we want the navigation to always be accessible. Remember, always UX, user experience, is king or queen. All right, let's move on. What else I'm going to do is I'm going to give this padding of 7 pixels from the start, and I will also remove any margins and align everything center, line center. Okay, so now we are going to be adding 2 more containers in this container. So this is one, and I'm going to duplicate this container, and now we have 2 containers. So I'm going to set this to full width as well, and this container is going to be 16%. So it's 16% of the container that it sits in. Okay. And I'm also going to set a height, and the height of this container would be 7. All right, now we are going to be adding, let me just justify the content, align item center, and I'm going to add our site logo in here. I also forgot something. I will give this container a background. Let's style it first. I'm going to set this to a darker background color. Okay, and let's give this a border radius of 10 as well. So this is the border radius value that we are going to be using across all these containers, so they all match. Okay, it's starting to look really good, right? Okay, so I'm going to give this logo a different size. So let's go to advanced. I'm going to set this to custom, and let me first of all set the image width to 100%, maximum width 100%, and let's go to advanced and set the custom width to 50%. Again, these values are my own values, so you have to set your own. Let's align itself to center. All right, let's publish and have a quick look. Refresh, and this is how it's looking so far. I think it's good. Okay, so now let's focus on the next container. So we are going to be doing the same thing we did with the other one. I'm going to give it a background first so we can see what we are doing. So I'm going to go with this one. This is the color that I discovered, or I figured that they are using for these containers. Okay, so let's give this a border. Okay, so let's see how it looks. Okay, we have to give this container a height, and we're going to give it a height of 7 as well. And look at that. How cool is that, right? So I'm going to set this container to full width as well, and 100%. Yes, all good. And I'm going to set a gap between these 2 containers now, and I'm going to set it to 6 pixels. Let's see. Yes, look at that. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna publish it. I have this thing where when I finish some steps in my design process, I publish to make sure that everything is saved. Because you never know. All right, so in this container, we are going to be adding another container. So in this container, we are going to add another container, and this container obviously will be full width and 100%, everything center, align item center, and we are going to remove all the margins and the paddings of the container that sits in, as well as this one. And this is how it's looking. And let's set these elements that we're gonna have inside at the center. Now we are going to be adding 2 elements, and this is not mandatory. You can add only one, the most important one, which is the WordPress menu, or you can add something like just mostly is decorative, let's say. This is what they have on the navigation bar on Awards, and I was like, okay, let's just try to make that as well. All right, I think I did not set the direction of this container, so I'm going to set it to row horizontal, and let's fix this text because it's not nice. So I'm gonna say home, and I'm gonna set this color to green light. Obviously change our font to be 0.9 rem, and also let's go to the main container, and I think we need to adjust some things. And this, oh yeah, okay, the direction of the container that this container sits in needed to be adjusted, so you will have to justify the content center, align item center, and all that good stuff. All right, so we are going to be adding our WordPress menu in here, and of course let's set the direction of the container. Oops. Okay, actually it's correct, it went in the other container. Okay, we are good. Let's see how it's looking. Okay, so now let's focus on this menu. Let's make it nice. We're gonna have a little bit of CSS, but it's minimal, so don't worry about it. Let me just go a little bit in here and set the weight of this text to 400. And I'm going to do the same thing with this text. I'm going to style it rem 0.9 as well. And whoops, the text color is going to be green light as well. This is up to you, whatever color you are choosing. And let's switch it to 400. And now they are all looking the same. All right, so I'm going to bring in my CSS code, and I'm going to add a CSS code in this container, in the container that the second container is sitting. Basically, I call it top level. And I'm going to add it in here. And as you can see, things are starting to look really nice and really professional. I am loving this. Okay, I think I want to set these two elements, basically the heading and the menu, to have some space around. Let's see how it's looking. Okay, this one is a little bit too out, and I think I'm going to give it some margin left 10. And so let's give this a margin right. Let's see how it looks, and it's looking really good. I like it. Okay, now let's do some cosmetic changes to this menu because I don't really like it. So we are going to set the underline to no underline. It's going to be background, and we're going to leave everything the way it is. And we are going to go to style, and I'm going to change the color of the hover effect. Let's start with the text, and the text is going to be the dark gray, sorry. And the pointer, basically the background, is going to be green light. So when one of these menu items is active, then we are going to see it this way. And as you can see, once you hover, the menu item border radius changes border, and it becomes pointy. And so we have to change this to 10 pixels. Let's see how it looks. And it's all good now. All right, so what I want to do now, I want to give this a little bit more space. So let's set the vertical padding to 16. And as you can see, it's a little bit bigger, and the horizontal padding to 16 as well. Whoops. And yeah, I think we don't need that. And let's see what happens on tablet. And as you can see, our navigation is pushed a little bit to the side, but we are going to change the size of it. So let's switch the size to 300 pixels. And we will have to do this manually here. Insert 300. And I am going to set this container to, I think, 55 should be okay. And we are not going to be using this menu. I'm going to be using a menu that I made in templates. So it's going to be not a pop-up, but it's going to be something different. And you will see. All right, so I'm going to go to responsive, and I'm going to hide this on tablet and on mobile. So we are not gonna be using this, as I said. Now let's add an HTML element here, and it's right here. Let me add my HTML code, and I am also going to add CSS so we can style this. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it's looking okay, but we want this to sit correctly. Okay, so we need to add some margin, and I'm gonna set the margin to 15. I think it should be okay. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it's looking good. So I'm going to set these elements to be at the center, and look at that. How cool is this? And if you do this, I mean, how cool is this? I love it. All right, let's continue. I think so far we are good. Let's go to see how this looks on mobile, and on mobile looks like trash. Let's go close that, and let's go to our container. Let's go to advanced, and I am going to remove the percentage here, and it's going to be 0. You can either leave it like this, obviously make the logo smaller, something like this, and move this in the center. Actually, they are in the center. Or you can also switch the position of these elements. Let's go back, and basically from this you can go to this. This is how it looks, and you can do this. Or we can have them basically sitting next to each other like we have them on tablet, like this. So let me do that. Let me set this to 50% or somewhere around there. Let's set it to 50%. No, let's set it to 48, because we have to take into account the margins that we already have around the elements. And let's set this to 50% as well. No, 48, sorry. And this one as well. And now we have to set them horizontal. Okay, and now let's see why this is not sitting right. Okay, so we need to set the width of this element, of this container, to 100%. That is okay, but I think we need, let me check something. Yes, we lost the height. Oh, we never had it. Okay, let's set the height to 7. 8, and now they are equal. I think they're equal, yes. And another thing, I think we need to adjust the margin on the sides. Let's go back to this container. Let's go to advanced, and let's set it to 6, left and right. Looking okay, maybe we need less, 4, and this should be 6. I think 7. Yeah, I think that's okay. And we can also give the navbar on mobile. Let's give it less vertical offset. Maybe this. Obviously, you can adjust it however is looking good for your use case. And this is how it would work. So basically, you would see the menu here. I tried making it with the WordPress menu, but I don't like how the navigation works, and it's a little bit buggy in the sense that I would need to add a little bit more code to make it look the way I want. And so I decided to create a template where we have the menu in. And you don't have to worry about SEO, because on mobile it's fine to use this kind of elements. So let me publish this. I'll save it. And now we can go to our template, and let's create the template. So let's preview this. All right, okay, so we need to, let's go back. I need to go back to our HTML element and navigation bar, and I have to go to responsive and set this to hidden on desktop. All right, now it's working okay. Let's save it and let's see. Okay, this is how it's looking. Obviously you can skip this because I don't know if it's necessarily necessary, and you can just have these elements sitting here or come up with whatever you want to add there. Okay, so let's see how this would behave on mobile. So this is what we see on tablet, basically, more like this. So somewhere around here. This would be the tablet size. And now this is the mobile size. So basically this is how it works. I think this is so fantastic. Look at this. It's gorgeous. Okay, this is not really the size. Probably the size would be a bit smaller, and this would not be a different size than this container. The containers will be equal in size. But yeah, how fantastic is this? Okay, let's go to create our template. All right, we're gonna start as usual with the container. So we're going to set the direction column to be vertical, and the container is going to be full width 100%, and height is going to be 100 VH. And we are going to set this container to justify content, basically start, and align items center. And we're gonna remove the gap between the elements. We don't want any gap. And we are going to go to advanced and set the align self to start as well. Let's add another container in here. I know this is containeritis. So let's set the container, this container to full width as well, 100%. Justify content start as well, and order start. And I think it's time to give this container some color so we can see it and work with it better. So I'm going to give this gray transparent. Basically, it's going to have the same effect as the background of this container here. And also we're going to give it a border of 10. As I said, this is the value that we're gonna use across all our elements. And surprise, I'm going to be adding another container, and I promise this is the last one. And this container is going to be also full width, and we are going to give this container a height, and I'm going to set it to 37 VH. And also I'm going to give this container a background color, so this is going to be the color of this container here, as you can see. And let's set the border as well, 10 pixels. Let's see, and that's how it's looking. And we are going to add our element. The element is going to be our WordPress menu. Where is it? I'm going to drag it in here, and we want this to be vertical, center, underline, no underline, but background. We're going to set the breakpoint to none, and obviously this is really ugly. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add some CSS here as well. Let's drop it in here, and look at that, how cool, right? Okay, let me just style this so it looks really nice. I'm going to go to text color, and that's the color. Okay, that's fine. Oops, let's set this to RAM, and I think it's 0.9. Yes, and 400 weight. Actually, I'm going to set this to 1.5 because on tablet it's going to be a bit bigger, obviously. And let's see how it looks. It's looking fine. And I'm going to set the pointer color on hover to be this color, and then the text is going to be obviously this color. So this is how it's going to look. Obviously there's no hover on tablet, and there's no hover either on mobile, but I'm just gonna set it. And let's go and do the same for the active state. And this is going to be, the color is going to be, the text color is going to be basically the same color that we have on tablet, on hover. And the active state of the background pointer is going to be green, light. So this will affect all breakpoints. Okay, let's set the size of the font on tablet to 1.3 actually, and 1.3 on mobile. And we can publish it, and that's it. We are ready to see it in action. So as you can see, I have it set here. Let me refresh. And this is how it's looking basically. And let's test it. Let's go to contact. These are just some random pages that I already have created, and I've used it. I use them for different tutorials. And this is like this. And here, as you can see, our nav items are having this effect because I have a CSS code here that is basically interacting with the navigation bar. But this is something that is just on my end. It's not a problem. So normally this is how it would look. And if we go home, this is basically the home page. How cool is this, right? Okay, let's check it out on, this is tablet. Yeah, more or less. This is the size, and this is our menu. How cool, right? I don't know, this is so exciting to me. So this is our cool navigation bar. Let me just bring it out a little bit this way. Okay, how cool is this? Okay, let's go to mobile. So this is how it would look on mobile. On mobile you can reduce the size, so you don't have this much space up on top and bottom, and basically the elements stay in the container a little bit snugger. But yeah, how cool! Ding, ding, ding. I love it. Yes, guys, this was it. And let me know in the comments below how you're gonna use this, and if you're gonna change the colors, obviously, and how you're gonna use it in general. I would be so curious to see. You can send me links. I'm so curious about what you guys make with the things that you take from my videos. I would be so delighted to see. And yeah, if you have any issues with implementing any of these things, let me know in the comments. You can also send me an email, or that's it. As always, the code will be in the description below. If you'd like to see what else you can build with Elementor, watch this playlist here. And if you have gotten any value out of this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. And I'll see you next time. Bye!